Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Incursio the Gamer quick build. Now, this time we're going to be building Solemn Lament Yi Sang, or Yi Sang, however you wish to pronounce it. He is a male, variant human, ranger, level 6, of course, because I allow you guys to build however you want beyond level 6. Shout out to Talio Tales for giving me such inspiration. Couldn't have done these kinds of videos without him. Now, as for your stats, you go across the board. He is the weakest sinner. I put him at a 6 strength. Of course I would. High dex, high intelligence, high wisdom, because you want that good speed right here. And also a great to hit. Constitution, he has a low health, of course. And charisma, you do with it as you will. He has an above average speed of 40, as in-game he has a speed of 3 to 8. That's pretty good, I'd personally say. He also gains haste on one of his skills, but that is for another time. Now, for saving throws, his dex is the highest, with wisdom and intelligence closing in behind at a rough range. You could take resilient to add your proficiency to that wisdom saving throw. However, that is up to you. Feats will be discussed later. Strength, it is what it is. 15 across the board for your passive perceptions, dark vision, some proficiencies in items, plus 7 in initiative. That is the wonderful part of having a great dex score. Now, for your skills. You have proficiency in athletics. Yi Sang is a sinner. He's just kind of doing his thing. Now for the important ones. Insight, intimidation, investigation, perception, and survival. Of course, I would change intimidation to maybe something like, persuasion? Maybe a stealth or acrobatics, but that came with the background soldier, which I gave him, which you'll see in a bit. Now, for your attacks, you have the pepper boxes. As you know, Solemn Lament utilizes firearms, utilizing the living and the departed as his special ammo. Now, we don't have the living and the departed, but we do have guns, and I decided to use pepper box for that. Of course, in his inventory, I did replace his basic martial items with ranged weapons. You will have to discuss this with your DM if you at all want to replace these items, because, firearms aren't exactly, swords and daggers that are found in common medieval worlds. And that is pretty much your only source of attack, except for your unarmed strike, which is, as the weakest sinner, 0 damage. Moving on, of course, you have primeval awareness as a ranger, and you can detect any kind of enemy within, I believe, a mile of you. Yeah. Or 6 in your favorite terrain, which that can always be discussed later. You have your other, of course, dash, disengage, dodge, grappling and shoving. We move on to bonus actions and reactions, which are the standard 2-weapon fighting and opportunity attack. Lastly, you have your others. You have Dread Ambusher, which allows you to go pretty good in initiative, plus 7 is nice. Additionally, you can take an extra attack action during your first turn and deal an extra 1d8 damage on a hit. So basically, you get to roll first for not exactly first, but you get to roll high for initiative thanks to that speed, and you can deal 3 attacks during your first turn with an addition of a free 1d8 damage, piercing, of course. Gunner, we will discuss feats later, and Piercer, same. Spells, I don't really touch those regarding Solemn Lament Yi Sang, and we move on to the inventory. Now, as for armor, you could take the blue item. I believe it's a cursed armor that gives you, I think, resistance to piercing, but you get vulnerabilities to slashing and bludgeoning, which is technically Solemn Lament Yi Sang's resistances, but slashing doesn't have a modifier to him, it's just normal, whereas bludgeoning is fatal. You have the 2 pepper boxes, you have the bullets. You add as many bullets as your DM allows, and if you're allowed to take 2 guns, by all means take them, because of misfiring. Reloading can be discussed, of course, with that feat, however. You have other basic equipment and no other magical items at the moment. Features and traits. Class features. You take on the proficiencies of Insight, Investigation, and Survival. You have favorite enemies of Aberrations, which is the closest thing that I could personally find to abnormalities, and humanoids because he is great at mob fights. You can always change these races that you are favored against, and the languages. I just added these ones since they were the most simple, and Yi Sang would probably know sign language as well as Merceau, but that's discussion for another time. Now, Natural Explorer, you have favored terrain types. Although, yes, he does work in Lobotomy Corporation in this alternative timeline, I liked the sound of Underdark and Swamp, but remember, this is always up to you, depending on what campaign or one-shot you're in. Fighting style archery, +2 to the weapon, he would only have +5 to hit, if not for archery, which then gives him +7, and proficiency with a firearm, coming in the feats tab later, will make it a +10. Spellcasting, ranger archetype, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know much about rangers. This is my second ranger build ever, so please be, I suppose, patient with me. I'm not that good at this one. Let's see, Dread Ambusher, of course you have that, Umbral Sight, and the ability score improvement, I decided to take a feat, taking Mobile because of his high speed. Lastly, the extra attack, 2 attacks per action. Species traits, he is a variant human. Pretty simple across the board. You can either take Gunner, or you can take Piercer. Now, the only reason I took Gunner was for that firearm proficiency. Yi Sang does have to reload in-game. Now, if your DM is willing to give you that firearm proficiency simply just because, oh, you've been fighting with guns your whole life, take that, ignore Gunner, take Piercer. Why Piercer? Because you get extra damage. What is extra damage? The butterfly effect. That is the bread and butter of Solemn Lament. He does tons of extra damage with that butterfly, and he rolls super high. Of course, Mobile and Savage Attacker. Savage Attacker from the Soldier feat, Soldier background, apologies, which I wasn't exactly sure what to give him. Now, when I did take the Soldier background, I gave him a Con +1, Dex +2, thus increasing his Dex up to 20. It was beautiful. Oh, I believe I should change that. He has a 21 in Dex, but I'm wasting stats. Ignore that. Now, of course, he is, I suppose, lawful neutral, but he's a male, black eyes, medium size, 5'9", with black hair, white skin, 29 years old apparently, and I'm not sure about weight, but he's pretty small, pretty light, definitely around Sinclair weight. So we have that. And that is pretty much it for Solemn Lament Yi Sang. Of course, you can add whatever personality traits, ideals, bonds, flaws, and be sure to make those ideals ideal, as that is Yi Sang's, little catchphrase. But that is pretty much it for our boy Yi Sang. Notes, you can add whatever of those based off your story, extras, whatnot. Now, of course, removing that Gunner feat without proficiency in firearms will only give you a +7 to hit. That is not bad for level 6. As a matter of fact, that is amazing for a level 6 character. Now, of course, this is also because of his +5 to Dex, which gives him a lot to hit. But taking on that Gunner feat does remove a little bit of that flavor that you want, because as Solemn Lament is an ammo character, however, he does have infinite reloads, which makes him the most beautiful ammo character in my opinion. I know the Merceau, the capo of Merceau did come out a little while ago, and he is also amazing, but I just got Solemn Lament. I sharded him the last day of Walpurgis Knot's availability, and I absolutely love him so far. I don't have resources to level him up, so I'm running, of course, easy mode mirror dungeons, but we talk about that another time. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is Solemn Lament Yi Sang. He is a ranger. You can also build him as a gunslinger if you want, if you have critical role. I suppose that's pretty much it for this Incursio the Gamer video. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed. Remember, like and subscribe, and I don't know how these close. Goodbye and good night.